The crystalline form of Elder Morpheus shimmered under the pale blue lights of the Galactic Council chamber. His body, ancient beyond measure, refracted light into 1,000 colors as he raised what passed for his hand. The gesture demanded silence, but Ambassador Kelric of the Zrath Empire barely glanced his way. The humans must evacuate Sanctuary 7 within 10 solar cycles, Kelric announced, his 4 eyes gleaming with confidence. That territory belongs to the Zrath Empire by ancient right. We have been patient long enough. Morpheus's voice came like wind through crystal caves. You would be wise to reconsider this path, Ambassador. There are things about humans that you do not understand. Kelric's mandibles clicked in what his species considered laughter. With respect, Elder, your age makes you cautious of shadows. Humans are simply another species. They will move when we show them our strength. Around the circular chamber, representatives from 40 different species watched the exchange. Most had learned to listen when Morpheus spoke. He had witnessed the rise and fall of empires that existed only in archaeological records now. I have seen this before, Morpheus continued, his ancient voice carrying a weight that made several ambassadors shift uncomfortably. 50,000 years ago there was another species. They looked different but inside they were the same. When threatened, when their families were harmed, they did not calculate odds. They did not surrender. They simply fought until either they won or nothing remained. Fairy tales, Kelric dismissed. The humans are miners and merchants. They will see our fleet and make the logical choice. 3 days later, 12 Zrath warships entered orbit around Sanctuary 7. The mining colony below housed 200 humans including 70 children. Commander Vex of the Zrath fleet opened communication channels and delivered a simple message. You have 6 hours to evacuate. After that, we will remove you by force. The response came from a woman named Sarah Chin, the colony administrator. Her voice was calm, almost friendly. Commander, with respect, we're not leaving. This is our home. Our children go to school here. We've built lives here. Vex was surprised but not deterred. Then you choose to resist military authority. The consequences are your responsibility. We're not resisting anything, Sarah replied. We're just not leaving. There's a difference. The 6 hours passed. Vex, following his orders precisely, targeted the main mining facility with a plasma strike. The building vaporized in seconds. 47 humans died in that instant, including 16 children who had been in the facility's daycare center. The remaining colonists sent one message before Zrath jamming cut off all communications. It traveled through quantum channels directly to Earth, bypassing normal relays. 3 words appeared on screens across human space. They fired first. Then 3 more words, send no diplomats. On the Zrath flagship, Commander Vex felt satisfied. The humans would surely evacuate now. He had demonstrated superior firepower. This was how conflicts ended in the galaxy. The weaker side acknowledged reality and withdrew. But in the council chamber, Elder Morpheus felt something he had not experienced in millennia. Fear. He accessed the ancient archives, reading texts that most species considered mythology. The words glowed in his memory. When you harm their young, there is no negotiation. There is no surrender. There is only the end. Back on Earth, every news channel showed the same images. Mothers weeping. Fathers standing silent, fists clenched. Children asking why their friends would never come home. And behind all of it, something was building. Not rage exactly, though rage was part of it. Something colder. More permanent. The President of the United Earth Government stood before cameras. She did not threaten. She did not bluster. She simply stated facts. The Zrath Empire has killed our civilians. Our children. We have given them 3 days to surrender those responsible. If they refuse, we will remind the galaxy why humanity survived ice ages, plagues, and world wars. We will remind them why Earth created the word relentless. The transmission ended. Across human space, every military base went to full alert. Factory workers volunteered for double shifts. Retired soldiers reported for duty. The galaxy was about to learn an old lesson again. Admiral Qin Zhao stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, watching the tactical display with dark eyes. Behind him, 300 warships hung in the darkness of space, waiting. Every vessel carried the same message painted on its hull in letters 10 meters high. Remember Sanctuary 7. In the Galactic Council chamber, Elder Morpheus projected an ancient hologram for all to see. The image showed ruins on a dead world, buildings turned to glass by unimaginable heat. Weapons scarred the planet's surface like claw marks. This world died 45,000 years ago, Morpheus explained. We found records in the ruins. A species attacked their colony, killed their families. The response was total. Both civilizations destroyed each other completely. Neither side surrendered. Neither side stopped until nothing remained. Ambassador Kelrick watched the hologram with his 4 eyes, but his confidence had not wavered. Ancient history, Elder. The Zrath fleet has superior shielding technology. We have more ships. The humans will see reason when they face our full might. A younger council member, Ambassador Trill of the Vaxan Confederation, spoke up nervously. The Zrath could offer reparations. Pay for the damage. This could end peacefully. Kelrick's mandibles clicked dismissively. We will not bow to these newcomers. They have been in the galaxy for only 300 years. The Zrath Empire has existed for 10,000. They will learn their place. On the Zrath homeworld, Emperor Vaxis reviewed fleet reports with growing satisfaction. His forces outnumbered the human fleet 3-1. His ships had better shields. Victory seemed certain. But Commander Vex, the officer who had ordered the strike on Sanctuary 7, felt uneasy. He had watched recordings of human entertainment, trying to understand these strange beings. Their stories always ended the same way. The hero never gave up. Never surrendered. Even when facing certain death. The first battle happened at a system called Threshold, 3 light-years from Zrath space. 12 human ships faced 40 Zrath vessels. By all military logic, the humans should have retreated. Instead, they attacked. The Zrath opened fire first, their plasma cannons tearing through human shields. 2 human ships exploded in the first minute. But the humans did not pull back. They surged forward, releasing thousands of small drones that the Zrath sensors had not detected. The drones were simple. Primitive even. Each one carried a nuclear warhead and basic guidance systems. They were cheap to build and impossible to stop them all. The Zrath fleet destroyed hundreds, but hundreds more got through. 8 Zrath warships died in nuclear fire. Then the human ships did something that shocked every observer in the galaxy. When their vessels were too damaged to fight effectively, they did not retreat. Instead, they rammed the Zrath ships at full speed, their reactors set to overload on impact. By the time the battle ended, all 12 human ships were destroyed. But 32 Zrath vessels were gone too. The humans had lost, but somehow the Zrath had lost more. Emperor Vaxis threw his command tablet across the room. How did they destroy 32 ships with only 12? His military advisor spoke carefully. They do not fight to win individual battles, Emperor. They fight to make every victory cost us more than we can afford. The pattern repeated across 6 more battles. The humans lost more ships each time, but the Zrath losses were devastating. Worse, human tactics kept changing. They used tricks the galaxy had never seen. Fake surrender signals that led Zrath ships into minefields. Boarding parties that fought deck by deck even when their own ship was destroyed. Weapons that made no strategic sense but created chaos. After 2 months of fighting, the Zrath Empire had lost 40% of its fleet. Humanity had lost 60% of theirs. But new human ships kept arriving from Earth's shipyards, built in weeks instead of months. The humans had converted their entire economy to war production. Elder Morpheus addressed the council again, his voice heavy with sorrow. I tried to warn you. Humans do not fight like we do. They do not calculate acceptable losses. When you kill their children, they have only one goal. Your complete destruction or their extinction. And they will choose extinction before surrender. In deep space, Admiral Chen Zhao received new orders from Earth. His eyes scanned the message twice before he spoke to his crew. Prepare the relativistic strike package. Target their shipyards. Show them what happens when you wake sleeping giants. The weapon was invisible until the moment of impact. A solid cylinder of tungsten and titanium, no larger than a transport shuttle, had been accelerating for 3 weeks. By the time it reached 90% of light speed, it carried the kinetic energy of a small star. The Zrath military shipyard orbited a barren moon, far from any inhabited world. 20,000 workers built warships there, constructing the vessels that would replace the losses against humanity. They had 47 hours of warning from long-range sensors, but there was nothing they could do. When the projectile hit, the shipyard simply ceased to exist. The moon cracked like an egg. Debris scattered across the system, glowing hot enough to be seen from planets 12 light-years away. Every species in the galaxy watched. Many had never believed such weapons were possible outside of theory. Humanity had just made theory into terrible reality. Ambassador Trill stood before the Galactic Council, her 3 hearts beating too fast. We must intervene. Both sides must be stopped before this escalates further. It has already escalated beyond control, Elder Morpheus said quietly. His crystalline body seemed dimmer than usual, as if the weight of watching history repeat itself was draining his light. The humans will not stop. I have reviewed their history. Every war they fought on their homeworld followed the same pattern. When attacked, they unite. When their families are threatened, they become unstoppable. On a captured Zrath vessel, Admiral Vex sat across from a human prisoner. The woman's name was Captain Rodriguez. Her ship had been destroyed 3 days ago, but she and 12 crew members had survived in an escape pod. Vex studied her carefully. I want to understand. Your fleet is losing. We have destroyed more of your ships than you have destroyed of ours. Why do you continue? Why not negotiate? Rodriguez looked at him with eyes that held no fear, only cold determination. You killed children. 16 children in a daycare center. Do you have children, Admiral? Vex nodded slowly. He had 3 offspring back on the homeworld. Then imagine someone vaporized them while they played, Rodriguez continued. Imagine someone decided your children's lives meant nothing. Would you negotiate with that person? Would you ever forgive them? But continuing means more death, Vex argued. More of your people will die. More of mine will die. It is illogical. Logic. Rodriguez laughed, but there was no humor in the sound. This stopped being about logic the moment you fired. This is about making sure you never do this to anyone else. Ever. If we have to burn our entire civilization to ash to stop you, we will. And we will make sure we take you with us. The conversation was broadcast across neutral channels. Within hours, 3 major trading empires announced they would no longer supply the Zrath Empire with resources. The message was clear. The galaxy was choosing sides, and humanity's terrifying commitment was more convincing than Zrath military strength. Emperor Vaxus watched his empire begin to fracture. Outer colonies declared independence rather than continue fighting. His own military commanders started questioning orders. And still the human fleet advanced, losing ships but never stopping, never slowing. In a secret council meeting, Morpheus revealed his final piece of evidence. He displayed genetic data comparing humans to the ancient ruins he had shown before. The extinct species I mentioned, the ones who destroyed themselves and their enemies 45,000 years ago. I had their DNA analyzed against human samples. He paused, letting the data speak for itself. 97% match. Humans are either descended from them or are incredibly similar. The galaxy faced this threat before. We barely survived it. A Vaxan scientist studying the data gasped. They are the descendants of the species that nearly destroyed all life in this sector? Possibly, Morpheus confirmed. Or perhaps the universe simply creates this type of species periodically. Warriors who cannot be tamed. Protectors who cannot be reasoned with when their families are threatened. Back in human-controlled space, Admiral Chen Zhao received authorization for the next phase. His orders were clear but contained one crucial modification added by the civilian government: minimize civilian casualties. We are not them. We do not murder children. Chen Zhao smiled grimly. Even in total war, humanity held to certain lines. But those lines did not include mercy for military targets. Set course for the Zrath homeworld, he commanded. It is time to end this. Emperor Vaxus stood in his throne room, watching the tactical display with growing desperation. Red markers showed human fleet positions. They were 3 days from reaching his homeworld. 12 billion Zrath civilians lived on the planet below, and every projection showed the same outcome: defeat. His military advisor approached cautiously. Emperor, 16 of our outer colonies have declared independence. They refuse to send more ships. Admiral Vex has requested permission to negotiate. Negotiate. Vaxus's mandibles clicked in fury. We are the Zrath Empire. We do not bow to these hairless apes. But even as he spoke, he knew the truth. His empire was crumbling. Not from military defeat alone, but from fear. Fear of an enemy that would not stop, would not tire, would not accept anything less than total victory. Admiral Chen Zhao stood on the bridge of the Defiant, now leading a fleet of 87 human warships. Behind them, 30 vessels from the Vaxan Confederation had joined as observers. And ahead, blocking their path to the Zrath homeworld, sat 200 ships from neutral species. Elder Morpheus's voice came through on all channels. Admiral Chen, I am placing my people's ships between you and your target. You have proven your point. The galaxy understands now. Humanity is not to be provoked. But if you continue, you will kill billions. Innocent civilians who had no part in the attack on Sanctuary 7. Chen's jaw tightened. They could have surrendered weeks ago, Elder. They chose this path. And you can choose a different one, Morpheus replied. History will remember what you do next. Will you be the admiral who saved humanity's honor, or the one who became the monster you fought against? For 3 hours, the fleets faced each other in silence. Qin reviewed his orders again and again. His government had been clear. Military targets only. Minimize civilian deaths. But how could he do that when attacking a homeworld? Then the communication came from the Zrath homeworld itself. Not from Emperor Vaxus. From Admiral Vex. Admiral Qin, this is Admiral Vex of the Zrath Third Fleet. I am the officer who ordered the strike on Sanctuary 7. I take full responsibility for those deaths. His voice was steady but weary. I am transmitting the names of everyone in the chain of command who approved the attack. 47 officers, including myself and Emperor Vaxus. Qin leaned forward. What are you proposing, Admiral? Give us 24 hours. My colleagues and I are removing Emperor Vaxus from power. We will surrender him and all responsible parties to human justice. We will pay any reparations you demand. We will accept any terms. Vex paused. All we ask is that you spare our civilians. They are innocent. In the throne room, Vaxus heard boots in the corridor. His own guards were coming for him. He reached for his ceremonial weapon, but Admiral Vex entered first, flanked by a dozen soldiers. You are under arrest for crimes against sapient beings, Vex stated formally. And for leading our empire into a war we cannot win. Vaxus stared at his most trusted admiral. You betray me? After everything? You betrayed us, Vex replied quietly. You killed children and called it military necessity. You started a war with an enemy you did not understand. And you refused to surrender even when our empire began to burn. I will not let you destroy our entire species because of your pride. Qin watched the transmission of Vaxus being arrested. His bridge crew waited for orders. He could refuse the surrender. He could push forward. The relativistic weapons were ready. One command and the Zrath homeworld would share the fate of their shipyard. But he thought of Captain Rodriguez's words from weeks ago. We are not them. We do not murder children. Open a channel to Admiral Vex, Qin commanded. When the connection established, he spoke clearly. You have 24 hours. If Emperor Vaxus and all responsible parties are not in custody and ready for transfer, we will resume our attack. But if you keep your word, we will accept your surrender. Vex's relief was visible even across species barriers. Thank you, Admiral. You will have them all. Elder Morpheus watched from his ship and felt something he had not experienced in millennia. Oh, perhaps this time the cycle would break. Perhaps this time the warriors would choose mercy over extinction. But he also knew the galaxy had changed forever. Every species now understood the price of harming human civilians. The treaty was signed aboard the UES Defiant, orbiting the scarred remains of Sanctuary 7. 40 species sent representatives to witness the moment. Emperor Vaxus and 46 other Zrath officers stood in restraints, waiting to be transferred to human custody for trial. The new Zrath Chancellor, a female named Thera, signed the surrender documents with all 4 of her hands trembling. We accept full responsibility. We will pay reparations for 3 generations. We surrender all charged war criminals. And we beg forgiveness from the families of those we murdered. Admiral Qin Zhao signed next, but he added one more page to the treaty. There is one additional term. The Galactic Council will immediately pass a law making attacks on civilians of any species a mandatory intervention crime. Any nation that targets civilian populations will face the combined response of all council members. Ambassador Trill read the proposal with her 3 eyes wide. This would fundamentally change galactic law. It would require species to defend others even at cost to themselves. Yes, Qin replied simply. Sanctuary 7 taught the galaxy a lesson. Now we make sure that lesson becomes permanent law. The vote was unanimous. For the first time in galactic history, all species agreed to a mutual defense pact protecting civilians. The law was named the Sanctuary Accord. Elder Morpheus approached Qin privately after the signing. You showed remarkable restraint, Admiral. You could have destroyed their homeworld. Qin looked out at the rebuilt colony below, where construction crews were raising new buildings. We could have. But then we would be no different than them. Humans fight to protect, not to genocide. That is what separates us from monsters. Morpheus shimmered thoughtfully. I must tell you something, Admiral. The DNA analysis I showed the Council. Humans match the genetic pattern of the most feared warrior species in galactic history. They existed 45,000 years ago and destroyed 3 empires before vanishing. Qin raised an eyebrow. You think we are related to them? I think the universe creates species like yours when it needs protectors, Morpheus said. Species that cannot be conquered because they would rather die than submit. Species that turn grief into unstoppable force. Your ancestors, whether they came from those ancient warriors or evolved independently, gave you this trait. Use it wisely. 10 years passed. The galaxy changed in ways no one had predicted. Human military advisors trained defense forces for 20 different species. The concept of proportional response became standard doctrine. Trading routes flourished because pirates and raiders knew that attacking civilians would bring human warships within days. The Zrath Empire rebuilt under new leadership, becoming a democracy. Admiral Vex served 15 years in prison and was released, spending the rest of his life teaching military ethics at the Council Academy. He never forgot the lesson Captain Rodriguez had taught him. On Sanctuary 7, now a thriving world of 5,000 inhabitants, a monument stood in the central plaza. 47 names were carved in black stone, each representing a life lost. Beneath the names, an inscription read simply, "They thought we would run. We proved them wrong." To the 47 we kept watch. In the Galactic Council chamber, a new crisis emerged. A species called the Kroth made first contact by destroying a mining station belonging to a small empire called the Dendari. 12 Dendari civilians died. Before the Council could debate a response, 3 human warships appeared in Kroth space. Admiral Maria Santos, Qin Zhao's successor, delivered a message that was broadcast across all galactic channels. Attention Kroth leadership. You have violated the Sanctuary Accord by attacking civilians. You have one chance to surrender those responsible and pay reparations. If you refuse, you will learn why the galaxy passed that law. You will learn what happens when you provoke species under human protection. The Kroth were a proud warrior race. They had never surrendered in their 3,000-year history. But their intelligence division had compiled extensive files on humanity. They had watched recordings of the Humans' Wrath War. They had read the reports. 6 hours later, the Kroth government surrendered the attackers and offered full reparations. Elder Morpheus watched from the council chamber and felt a strange emotion. For 50,000 years, he had witnessed empires rise through conquest and fall through arrogance. But now, for the first time, he saw an empire rising through protection. On Earth, a young girl asked her grandfather about the war. He was Admiral Qin Zhao, now retired, living quietly in Beijing. "Grandfather, would we really have destroyed their whole world if they had not surrendered?" Qin looked at his granddaughter with eyes that had seen too much death. "We will never know, little one. And that is exactly the point. The galaxy must never find out what humanity becomes when pushed to the absolute edge. Our strength is not in the destruction we can cause. It is in the destruction we choose not to cause." The girl smiled and hugged her grandfather. Across the galaxy, species slept peacefully, protected by a simple truth. Humanity had proven they would fight to the death to protect the innocent. And everyone knew provoking them was the oldest, most dangerous mistake anyone could make. The rule was written now, in blood and fire and mercy: do not provoke humans.